You've noticed it. You feel more peace sitting next to a dog than sitting across from a person. You trust an animal faster than you trust someone who says, "I am here for you." And if you're really honest, you feel more understood by something that doesn't speak your language. Society calls that strange, cold, socially stunted, maybe even broken. But let's be honest. The truth no one says out loud is this: loving animals more than humans is rarely about animals. It's about safety. It's about your nervous system. It's about childhood trauma or what happened inside. Long before you had the words to explain it. You don't relax around people. Not fully. There's always a layer of scanning, a subtle hypervigilance, a background process running. Are they judging me? Are they going to leave? Are they about to change their tone? But when you're with an animal, your shoulders drop, your breathing slows, your body exits survival mode. That's not a personality trait. That's nervous system regulation. And here's the twist. What looks like preference is often protection. What looks like detachment is often memory. If this is already resonating with you, subscribe. We go deeper here every day. No anesthesia. The behavior feels like a choice, but it's emotional memory replaying in real time. Maybe you've been disappointed too many times. Maybe you grew up with inconsistent affection. Maybe you learned that love from humans comes with conditions, expectations, emotional debt. Animals don't negotiate affection. They don't withdraw warmth to punish you. They don't weaponize vulnerability. So your system learned something very intelligent? It learned where it can exhale. By the end of this video, you'll understand that this isn't about social anxiety. It's about your attachment style. It's about trauma healing that doesn't look dramatic enough to be called trauma. It's about a nervous system that chose the safest available bridge. And once you see it clearly, you'll never call yourself weird for it again. This isn't random. Your brain is not choosing animals over humans because you're antisocial. It's choosing predictability over unpredictability. And your nervous system is obsessed with predictability. Let's break it down. When you interact with another human, your brain immediately activates social threat assessment. The amygdala scans for tone shifts, facial microexpressions, inconsistencies. If you grew up with emotional unpredictability like inconsistent affection, criticism, silent treatment, or emotional withdrawal, your system became hypervigilant, not dramatic, just alert, always a little on guard. That constant scanning narrows your window of tolerance, emotional zone where you can feel connected without becoming overwhelmed or shut down. Outside that window, you either go into anxiety, which is hyperactivation, or emotional numbing, which is anesthesia. Now compare that to interacting with an animal. Animals provide clear, consistent feedback. Their affection isn't layered with social politics. Their cues are direct. Their nervous systems co-regulate with yours without verbal negotiation. When you pet a dog or sit near a cat, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Cortisol levels decrease. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates. Your heart rate stabilizes. You don't have to perform. You don't have to decode hidden meanings. You don't have to manage someone else's ego. Your system experiences what attachment theory calls secure signaling. Here's the part most people miss. If you have an anxious attachment style, humans may feel intoxicating but destabilizing. If you have an avoidant attachment style, humans may feel intrusive or demanding. If you experienced relational trauma, closeness may equal danger at a subconscious level. Animals bypass those emotional triggers. They don't trigger your abandonment schema. They don't activate your fear of engulfment. They don't demand emotional performance. Your brain categorizes them as safe attachment figures. And the body always chooses safety over social expectation. Let's be honest, society glorifies human connection as superior. But evolutionarily, safety always comes first. The nervous system does not care about cultural narratives. It cares about survival. So when you say, "I just prefer animals," what you might actually be saying is, "I can finally stay inside my window of tolerance. I can feel without bracing. I don't have to split myself in two." This is not immaturity. It's an adaptive coping mechanism. And coping mechanisms aren't flaws. They're evidence that your system learned to survive something. But here's where it gets deeper. Not everyone who loves animals more than humans is running from people. Some are simply wired differently. Others are exhausted. And some are protecting a wound they haven't fully named yet. The truth is, not everyone who loves animals more than humans is the same. On the surface, the behavior looks identical. But psychologically, the roots are very different. Let's go deeper into the 5 types. The first type, the disappointed survivor. This is the one who trusted deeply once, maybe more than once. You gave people the benefit of the doubt. You showed up loyally. You overextended. You believed promises, and at some point, something cracked. Not necessarily a dramatic betrayal. Sometimes it was subtle. Emotional inconsistency. Being chosen second. Being valued for what you provided, not who you were. Your nervous system learned that humans equal unpredictability. Now here's the twist. You don't hate people. You just stopped expecting emotional safety from them. Animals became your safe attachment alternative. Not because you are incapable of depth, but because you are tired of performing vulnerability without reciprocity. Your strength? You still have an enormous capacity for loyalty. You just became selective about where it goes. The second type, the empath in burnout. You feel everything. Tone shifts, micro-expressions, the emotional temperature in a room. Your window of tolerance shrinks fast in chaotic social environments. Too much noise, too many emotional demands, too many unspoken expectations. You learned early to regulate others before regulating yourself. Maybe you were the mature one, the peacekeeper, the emotional translator in your family. That creates empathic overextension. Eventually, it becomes fatigue. Humans start to feel draining, not because they are bad, but because your system is constantly scanning and adjusting. With animals, no decoding required, no emotional labor, no ego management. Your body can finally rest. The strength here is emotional intelligence, but unbalanced empathy without boundaries turns into exhaustion. Animals don't exhaust you because they don't require hypervigilance. The third type, the control seeker. This one is uncomfortable to admit. You like knowing where you stand. You like predictable affection. You like environments you can emotionally manage. Human relationships are messy. They challenge your narrative. They confront your blind spots. They demand mutual influence. Animals feel simpler. And here's the psychological layer. Sometimes what we call peace is actually self-sabotage through control. If you grew up in chaos, with emotionally volatile caregivers, inconsistent rules, or sudden mood shifts, your nervous system became wired for anticipatory control. With animals, the relational dynamic feels stable, manageable. You know how to show up. You know how they'll respond. It's not manipulation, it's self-protection. Your strength, stability, loyalty, consistency. But growth happens when you can tolerate unpredictability without collapsing. The fourth type, the avoidant idealist. You value depth, authenticity, loyalty, emotional honesty. But intimacy activates something uncomfortable in you. Closeness feels invasive. Dependency feels dangerous. Being emotionally needed triggers your autonomy alarm. So you form bonds where emotional fusion is unlikely. Animals offer connection without engulfment. They don't question your independence. They don't ask you to expose your shadow. They don't trigger your fear of losing yourself in someone else's needs. Your attachment system learned that closeness equals vulnerability equals potential pain. So you regulate through distance. And here's the part most people don't see. You're not cold. You're cautious. The fifth type, the child who wasn't fully seen. This one goes deep. If you grew up feeling emotionally invisible, not abused in obvious ways, but not attuned to, your system adapted. Maybe your feelings were minimized. Maybe you were praised for being easy. Maybe your needs were subtly inconvenient. You learned to self-soothe. You learned to not expect too much. Animals give what was missing. Attuned presence. Eye contact without evaluation. Physical closeness without performance. Unconditional warmth without emotional negotiation. Your system experiences a corrective attachment experience. It feels like coming home to something you've never had. None of these types are broken. They are adaptations. But adaptation is not the same as destiny. If you recognize yourself in one of these, awareness is not condemnation. It's integration. In which type do you see yourself? Comment right now. Naming your pattern is the first act of emotional power, and it helps you see yourself with clarity. Here's the part most people won't say out loud. Loving animals more than humans isn't about affection. It's about where your body feels safe enough to soften. You don't bond based on species. You bond based on nervous system compatibility. And here's the deeper truth. You didn't wake up one day and decide humans were disappointing. Your system calculated it. Through micro-experiences, through attachment ruptures, through moments where you felt unseen, unheard, too much, or not enough. Trauma isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the absence of attunement. Sometimes it's the chronic feeling of walking on emotional glass. Sometimes it's being loved, but not understood. And when that happens, the body builds an emotional armor. It says we will still connect, but only where it's safe. Animals became the bridge. But here's the twist most people miss. This behavior is intelligent. It shows emotional discernment. It shows sensitivity. It shows your capacity for deep attachment. The problem isn't loving animals deeply. The problem would be believing you are incapable of loving humans safely. And that's not true. Here's the real reason you sometimes feel too much or not enough in human relationships. Your nervous system equates intimacy with risk, so you oscillate between longing and protection. You want closeness, but you brace for disappointment. You crave belonging, but you anticipate loss. That anticipation of loss is old. Older than your current friendships, older than your adult relationships. It lives in implicit memory, emotional memory stored in the body. And most people quit here, right when awareness starts to surface, because realizing this means acknowledging grief. Grief for the connection you didn't fully receive. Grief for the parts of you that learned to shrink. But awareness is not weakness. It's integration. Loving animals more than humans doesn't mean you are broken. It means your system chose the safest available attachment figure at the time. The invitation is not to love animals less. It's to slowly expand your window of tolerance with humans. Not all humans, the regulated ones, the emotionally available ones, the ones who don't activate your old survival scripts. If this is resonating, it's not coincidence. It's your body recognizing a truth it's been carrying quietly. You are not strange. You are complex. And complexity is not dysfunction. It's depth. If this reflection helped you see your psychology with less guilt, share it and hit subscribe. Psychology Unseen is not just a channel, it's a mentality. We go beneath behavior. We examine the unseen, and we build awareness without shame. The real question is this: do you love animals more than humans? Or do you simply love where you can finally feel safe?